There is a point in every woman's emotional journey where she realizes she misread the value of a man who once stood right in front of her. This realization does not hit when you argue, or when you walk out the door, or even when the relationship ends. Regret arrives like a shadow, slowly at first, then suddenly overwhelming, when she finally sees the truth she ignored for far too long. In the beginning, she doesn't believe she could ever lose you. You are dependable, you are present, you are emotionally available in ways she didn't know how to appreciate. Your consistency becomes invisible to her because she is used to it. People rarely value what feels guaranteed, and in her mind, you were exactly that. Guaranteed. Women rarely regret the man they take for granted when he is still trying to prove himself. As long as you keep giving, she assumes you will never stop. As long as you keep forgiving, she assumes you always will. She doesn't realize that even the strongest man runs out of energy when he is loving someone who only measures his flaws, not his efforts. The regret begins the moment you stop explaining yourself. When your tone becomes calmer, when your attention becomes selective, when your emotional energy becomes directed inward instead of toward her. She expected anger, reactions, arguments, but instead she gets silence. And nothing shakes a woman more than the silence of a man who once cared loudly. At first she thinks it's temporary. She thinks you are just tired. She thinks you'll snap back into the man who fought for her, chased her, reassured her, and made her feel important. But days pass, and your distance isn't emotional noise. It is emotional clarity. And suddenly she realizes she no longer holds the same place in your life. That's when the discomfort begins to grow inside her. She starts replaying moments she treated you carelessly, times she dismissed your feelings, times she ignored your efforts, times she snapped without apology because she assumed you'd move past it. Women don't remember the moments they were right. They remember the moments they were unfair. Those memories return with full force. Slowly, her confidence about losing you starts shifting into fear. She begins wondering who has your attention now. She wonders if someone else appreciates what she overlooked. She wonders if another woman admires you in the ways she should have. And for the first time, she feels the sting of jealousy for a man she once believed belonged only to her. What truly intensifies her regret is watching you evolve without her. Your peace gets stronger, your goals become sharper, your confidence rises. You rebuild yourself in ways she never imagined. And every step you take forward reminds her of what she lost. Female psychology reveals something powerful. Women regret the man they took for granted, not because he leaves, but because he grows after leaving. When she sees you handling life with focus instead of emotional chaos, she realizes she once had a man with vision. When she sees you protecting your peace, she realizes she once had a man who protected hers. And when she sees you smiling again, she realizes she was not the source of that happiness. She was the obstacle. The deeper regret starts when she compares you to the men she meets after you. Every conversation feels shallow. Every promise feels weak. Every man who approaches her seems to lack the stability you carried naturally. She begins to understand the difference between a man who is available and a man who is reliable. And that distinction breaks her more than the breakup ever did. This is when she starts rewriting the story in her head. She thinks about what you offered. She thinks about the emotional safety you gave her. She thinks about how you listened, even when she was hard to understand. A woman's memory sharpens not when she is in love, but when she loses someone who treated her well. The moments she dismissed earlier now return like mirrors, showing her who you were compared to who she thought you were. The regret deepens when she realizes you never asked for too much. You wanted honesty. You wanted presence. You wanted respect. You wanted communication without games. These are simple needs, but she couldn't give them consistently. Now she sees how low your demands were, and how unnecessarily she resisted them. That realization cuts deeper than heartbreak. Then comes the emotional crash, the stage where she finally admits to herself that she was the problem. Not fully, not entirely, but enough to understand that the distance was not caused by your failure, but by her inability to appreciate your effort. Women can deny many things, but they cannot deny their own reflection when it stares back with truth. She begins to wonder what would have happened if she had communicated more gently, if she had supported you more, if she had treated your loyalty with the gratitude it deserved. She begins grieving not just the relationship, but the version of herself who didn't know how to treat a man like you. That grief becomes silent, heavy, and relentless. Her friends may never hear it. Her family may never see it, but internally, she knows she lost something rare. The regret becomes permanent when she watches you love someone else in ways she once rejected. Seeing another woman receive the softness, protection, patience, and loyalty she once took for granted breaks her ego first and her heart second. She realizes that you didn't lose your ability to love. You just redirected it to someone who appreciates it. She never expected to see the day when you no longer reacted to her messages. She never expected you to ignore the emotional bait she once used to pull you back. She never expected you to stop checking in, or stop caring, or stop noticing her. But when you healed, you broke the last string tying her to the version of herself she used to be. Female psychology is clear. Regret is strongest when a woman realizes the man she dismissed became the man she now desires, but no longer has access to. She regrets the version of you she met, and the version of herself she failed to grow into. She regrets thinking time was her advantage, not realizing that time was actually your exit. A woman never regrets losing the man she played games with. She regrets losing the man who meant every word he said. She regrets losing the man she believed she could always return to, until she couldn't. She regrets losing the man who stayed until he had no reason left to. But by the time she understands that your loyalty was her blessing, not her leverage, you have already become someone else's blessing. And she must live with the truth that she misjudged a rare man at a point in life when she didn't know how to recognize one. In the end, women regret the man they took for granted only when life forces them to see his value without the comfort of having him. Regret is never about the breakup. It's about the realization that she lost a man who wasn't perfect, but who showed up with a heart she may never encounter again. And once that regret settles in, it doesn't fade. It becomes part of her story, a story she will remember every time she meets a man who cannot compare to the man she pushed away.